Hey there, it's Dr. Elsa McLean, physical therapist and yoga teacher. Today I'm going to share my story of why I practice yoga and how I got into it, and also why I include it in the physical therapy clinic at Ignite Wellness. So this started about 20 years ago when I was a Division I springboard diver. And long story short, I had a few surgeries due to diving related injuries. And I didn't quite heal from those injuries fully. I went to physical therapy and my sessions ran out, and at the time, this was about almost 20 years or so ago, I don't want to date myself too much, but that was the end. That was it. They said, I'm sorry, we did as much as we could do. It was really extensive surgery. My wrist, I had 3 surgeries on. They're like, kind of good luck. And I was a college student. I couldn't take the gas thing off my car. I couldn't write very long. I definitely couldn't dive the way I used to. So I kind of fell into a dark place. It wasn't a very happy time for me. I lost my identity. I wasn't really quite sure the next step in life. I didn't really know what to do. And I couldn't move my body the way I used to, which was really depressing since I was such an active person. So I fortunately stumbled into a yoga class, and the teacher, this is my first class ever, I just remember walking out of that class and finally having hope for the first time. I'm like, oh, my body can heal. There's still potential. I'm like super young. Like this isn't it, No matter, it doesn't matter if the surgeon told me not to choose a career with my hands because I'll probably have arthritis at 25. Like, no, I don't have to believe that. And so I was hooked. I just went week after week, and I mean, it was a long process. I could barely do any of the postures because I couldn't put weight on my hand, so I was like fisting everything at the time, and I just went week after week, just one class a week in the beginning, and I eventually started seeing progress. I started being able to do that quadruped pose where you put weight on your hands and knees without pain and like huge swelling. I eventually worked myself to plank pose, handstands, became a massage therapist, maybe to prove that surgeon wrong, and I work with my hands now. I don't have a problem. So anyways, that started my path to yoga, and a decade or so later, I ended up having a disc injury with nerve pain, and it was a yoga practice that, again, I just stuck with it. I had to really modify my activities again. Instead of going into that dark cycle, I just was like, nope, I'm going to take a step back from things. I'm going to do my yoga practice. I'm going to go to my physical therapist and just stick with it. And it took, for me, my disc and nerve injury, it took a good year and a half till I could feel like my practice was full again, my yoga practice in my life, without numbness and tingling or weakness and that sort of thing. But I did it, and I still do this practice to this day. And I don't want to lie, and I don't want to say that I'm 100% pain-free. I never feel that injury. I'd say I'm about 95 to 99% of the time, because it's usually my fault, right? Either I don't do my practice, or there's a perfect storm of events where I try some crazy new thing, or I sit too long and not do my homework. So there's usually a perfect storm of events that leads to feeling the pain in my back and down my legs start. And as long as I take a step back at that time and re-up my practice and give back to myself and self-care, then I can make it go away. I can kind of nip it in the bud, which is huge. It's like a safety net. So I don't have to live my life in fear. I can really give it my all, and I know that I'm taken care of and I'm supported. So I'm just really excited to share this with others, because I recently have had a bunch of patients come into the clinic, and I even was told this myself when I worked in a traditional physical therapy clinic, like, don't practice yoga, you're gonna hurt yourself, okay? I'm just gonna dispel this myth right now. Yoga is just like any other activity, whether it be CrossFit, working out at the gym, like running, hiking, playing soccer. Like, all these activities are really great for our souls and our bodies, and we need to keep doing them, right? But anything, we're at risk for injury if we're not mindful or we overdo. And so the same is true with yoga. If we go from never practicing yoga to some crazy vinyasa class or ashtanga class, we're going to put ourselves at risk for injury. Or if we're practicing in a way that's not serving our bodies well, or is somewhat disrespectful for our bodies, not being in tune with our boundaries and our alignment and when to hold ourselves back, that's when we're putting ourselves at injury. So at the clinic, my job and the job of my yoga teachers and other staff is to help you start yoga and use yoga to heal. So we help people of all levels of yoga, whether they be at the beginner stage and just wanting to start yoga, or the advanced yogi that either needs to heal from an injury or wants to prevent injury in the future. We work with all. We look at alignment. We use props such as the yoga wall for support. We do modifications. We really try to make sure that you can practice yoga, because there's so many styles of yoga. There's a teacher for everyone. There's a style that fits you at a certain time. I've used yoga not only through those injuries, but later in my life, when I had my daughter, I had a cesarean. I had the 6 weeks where I can't do anything. I practiced my breath and meditation. I was still practicing yoga. It was just a completely different style. And then I slowly eased back into my practice. I even used yoga to help me through a cancer diagnosis and surgery that was needed to get that guy out. And again, it was there to give me hope that, like, I can heal. I'm going to work through this. Like, my body might not be moving the way I want it to at the time, or I might not be able to be as active as I want to right now. But I know, like, I can get there. And here's the thing. When I was healing in any of those incidents, and I teach everyone this too, is like I let go of any expectations, any attachments as to how my body would return, because I just knew that whenever I'm healing from a surgery or an injury, anything like that, it's almost starting afresh. You kind of remold your body, and whatever happens is really dependent upon what you put in. And I didn't know if I was going to do that wheel pose again, especially after my cesarean. I thought, well, that's okay. I'll let that pose go, because I'm a mom now, and my job, my dharma is to take care of my daughter, and my life is really not going to be that much better if I can do the crazy wheel pose. But sure enough, it came back. So you never know if you just let go of like the ceilings, the doubts, and just put in the work. You never know the outcomes. And so that's the other component that I want to address. One thing I do see out there in the fitness world and in some places where yoga is incorporated into healthcare, which is really great. We all have to start somewhere, is that the yoga is only addressing that physical component. Like a lunge stretch may be given, for example, Anjaneyasana, to help release that infamous psoas muscle, which is great. That's so purposeful and so needed. However, I think sometimes the full spectrum of yoga is mixed. The breath, the emotional component, how it can really open that inner world, which just leads to infinite growth and evolution. So that's why I'm so excited to share all this with you, and my story, and why Ignite Wellness uses yoga in the practice, and many more things to come. So stay tuned. If you have questions at any time, please reach out. I'm always here to help. Okay, bye.